Let's get started. Okay. All right. I'm reading from a little bit of a script here, so I apologize that I'm looking away. Thank you for attending the virtual Inspiring Abilities Expo. My name is Melissa Ewald, and I'm a Fuse board member. I would just like to go over a couple of housekeeping items before we begin. This session is being recorded and will be accessible on the Fuse website. Please consider this when sharing or asking questions. I will also ask that you remain muted unless asking a question. I will be monitoring the chat box, so please feel free to ask questions there, and I will let our speaker know as questions pop up. I'm excited to welcome you to this morning's session on recreation options featuring Sean Addison, Michelle Yadon, and Laura Wuchner. Is that right? Okay. Sean Addison is a soccer coach at Indy Premier Soccer Club and has been the director of the Indy Premier Top Soccer for 5 years. Michelle Yadon is the inclusion supervisor at Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation, and Laura Wuchner is a nationally certified therapeutic horseback riding instructor and owner of Horespowered Learning Services. Please help me welcome Sean, Michelle, and Laura. So we'll get started. I'm going to ask a couple of questions. We're going to try to keep this on time. So will each of you start by telling us a little about your specific program? And let's start with Michelle because she shows up first on my screen. Unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Yadon, and we had a little bit of a switch last year, so I'm now the Recreation Program Manager at Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. So I supervise all of the programs for everyone. Katie Smith is now our Inclusion Program Supervisor. She is on vacation, so I'm here today to talk about our adaptive program. Our adaptive program is designed for folks who have disabilities. We have programs for kiddos as young as 2 years and then all the way up. So we have preschool, youth, teen, and adult programs. Myself and Katie are recreational therapists. So all of our programs are designed on skill development, life development, and trends and the needs of the participants. We have sports programs, fitness programs, arts, therapies, you name it, we have it. And I've been working at the Monon Community Center for about 8 years. I love what we do, and we also make sure that everything is inclusive. So say someone wants to participate in a program outside of the adaptive program, but needs some kind of modification to make sure that they are participating to the fullest, then myself or Katie does a assessment, and then we write a plan for them and we make sure that they are good to go. Thank you for having me today, Sarah.
Excellent. Let's go with Sean next because you're next on my screen.
Yeah, so my name is Sean Addison. I'm the top soccer director at Indy Premier. Top Soccer is a U.S. youth soccer program, so it happens all over the country, and it's for athletes with physical, intellectual, and emotional disabilities. Each program is different, but my specific program is fairly non-competitive, and it's focused a lot on the relationships that are built between our buddies and our athletes. So we have a buddy system from travel players within our club, and they pair up with athletes and help facilitate the program. So we have kids from 3 years old all the way up to our oldest athlete is 16 at the moment. And the buddy program allows us to take a singular session and adapt it for whatever that athlete needs personally. So we're built around relationships and teaching soccer and social skills to these kids. So yeah, we run 3 sessions a year in the summer, the late fall, and the winter. So it's a lot of fun. And yeah, we have programs all over the state of Indiana, but mine is in the Fishers and Noblesville area.
Excellent. Okay, last but certainly not least, Laura.
Hi, my name is Laura Wuchner, and I am a nationally certified therapeutic horseback riding instructor. And I have a program here in Greenfield. It's called Horespowered Learning Services. And it is a very small therapeutic horseback riding program. And I do private one-on-one lessons with able-bodied kiddos with special needs. And during those lessons, I do horseback riding skills and horsemanship skills, but I also do academic skills. So whatever it is that they are working on in school and maybe struggling with is something that I will focus on during those lessons. And I use the concentration and focus that they get from riding the horses, and I channel it into whatever they need to work on academically. So it's a really unique time where they are able to work on challenging concepts and ideas, but while they're on the horse. So it is a lot more fun, and I get a lot more cooperation than I think people normally do, just trying to work on that stuff at home. So it's a really fun thing that I do, and I like to work in a lot of games and kind of disguise the fact that my students are working on their academic skills, so that they just have a really fun time. And so yeah, I teach private lessons and I teach from my home. I'm in the Greenfield area, and it is a private pay kind of thing. And I do monthly lessons, like monthly lesson packages. And I run from about May through about October. It's weather dependent. So thanks for having me.
Great, thank you for being with us. So we'll kind of go the same order. What are the benefits to your participants?
I think there's a wide range of benefits, which I think is really beautiful. For our participants, first we talk about the adaptive program for a moment, and then we talk about making sure everything is inclusive. I think if you're looking at preschool age, then generally we're starting with families that just got the diagnosis. So we're working a lot with the families through the very start of their process, supporting them, supporting the kiddo, making sure that they're connecting with other families. Those programs are very sensory based. So we're also really working on very basic skills and working on those and growing them. Once we get to the youth programs, we're working, it's very skill based, and we see a lot of support within the families. For the kiddos, we're really working on skills so then they can participate fully with all of their peers. We work a lot on core balance. We work a lot on strength. We work on multiple things through the activities, as well as just having a good time and connecting and learning what their leisure interests are. And then for our teen programs, we work a lot with fitness programs. So really supporting healthy habits, and then social programs. So really connecting them with others. We also have a lot of therapy programs for teens. One of my favorites is Birds and Bees, which is a sex ed program. A lot of our participants get pulled out of sex ed classes in the schools. So we make sure that they have that information, and we work a lot with families. And then with our adult programs, they're all very goal-based. So we do theater shows, we run in 5Ks, we really learn yoga, and it's all about just really connecting with each other and really having leisure be an impactful part. During the pandemic, once people started coming back, we saw that there was a decrease of that social skills of even reading and writing. And so it is just so important to have leisure and that connection with others. So we're glad that we're able to be back in person safe again. And then with all of our inclusive programs, I really think it is that kiddos can participate fully with the modifications they need, and just really be a part fully. and I just believe so much in inclusion. And so I think that it's just very powerful, and people are able to grow in their skills, their confidence, and in all different types of abilities.
Sean, what about benefits to your participants?
Yeah, so what I love about our program is, like I touched on earlier, the adaptability, the ability for an athlete to come in and just experience soccer at the pace that they need to experience soccer at. And for some of them, that is a very low involvement of actual soccer and more of a socialization experience. And then on other levels, it's a lot of competition and getting them to be okay in a competition setting. So I love the adaptability for our program. Separate of the athletes, I love the experience that our parents get to have, because it's an hour a week where we have somebody with their kid. Every week, there's a buddy with their kid. We have 6 or 7 coaches that are there circulating around with all of these kids. So they get to sit down, watch, enjoy, and kind of disconnect. And that honestly may be one of my favorite parts about our program is the community and the experience that we get to give parents, just enjoying their kid, just watching them work at their own pace and get better at something. So outside of the soccer realm, outside of what I enjoy doing for our athletes, I love giving that to our parents. But obviously there is a ton to get out of competing and learning new skills and learning balance and learning basic movements, right? So very much enjoy that as well.
Excellent. Laura?
Well, if it's okay, I will share my screen. I've got a PowerPoint slide
Okay.
on the benefits, and here we go. So you guys should be seeing that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so the benefits of therapeutic riding. We have a boost in confidence and self-esteem. Riding a horse is a big deal. They are big animals, about 1,000 to 1,200 pounds. And so riding a horse that has a mind of its own, and getting it to do what you want is very empowering. And so with that empowerment is going to come a boost in the confidence. And with the increase in the confidence is going to come the self-esteem. So it all kind of works together to help the students just feel more confident. A decrease in anxiety. Riding a horse is a relaxing activity, especially for the students that like to be outside and that like the animals. This is relaxing, and my program is I teach from my home. So it's just me and the student, and it's very quiet, and there's nobody else and no more activity, going on around. So it's just a quiet, kind of relaxing in nature, riding the horse. Another benefit is the sensory input, the movement of the horse and the person riding the horse together. That motion is really, you get a lot of input to the sensory system. And a lot of people with special needs find that to be very calming, especially people who have disabilities that include sensory disturbances. So riding the horse is often very, very calming to my students. And I had one little girl who kept saying, "Oh, I'm so comfortable as she's on the horse." And what she meant was that the sensory input was feeling good to her. And she was asking to relax and take a nap. So it was just a really a special time for her, where she was getting the input that allowed her to kind of take things down a notch and just relax. We have an increase in muscle strength, especially the core strength and abdominal and back muscles, and of course the legs holding you into the saddle, and improved communication skills. A big part of riding a horse is communicating to that horse exactly what you want, using the language the horse knows. And if you can master this skill, you can also translate that into the rest of your everyday life. So the skills that they gain riding a horse, they can use those communication skills with their friends, with their teachers, with their parents. Also, emotional intelligence. Horses have emotions, not the same as ours, but they do have emotions. They're grumpy sometimes, they're excited, sometimes they're nervous. And reading the horse's body language and understanding how they are doing and feeling is an important part of being a good horseman. So I always work with my students on like, hey, what's the horse feeling right now? And what do you need to do in reaction to that? So that also translates to other areas of their life. And this is a social activity. If you're doing it at a bigger therapeutic riding center, lessons are usually in groups. So if you're doing it there, you're going to feel maybe part of a team and a community. And also riding horses, it really requires a lot of executive functioning skills. So short and long-term memory, concentration, spatial reasoning, planning. You know, you have to figure out like, where am I going to take this horse and what am I going to do and how do I get it to do what I want? So that's a really great exercise and something that people find very helpful.
Excellent. Oops, sorry that my whole screen moved when you shared. So I got to find my notes again. Okay. Do you believe that adaptive programming works for any age or disability?
I believe that adaptive programming is really about the individual. So it's meeting the individual where they're at, supporting them, and figuring out what they need. For anyone, any person, I don't think that there's always an answer that just covers everyone. So I think that adaptive programming it's not about like meeting the needs of a group of people or a population of people who have a disability. It's really meeting people where they're at individually and then working together as a group. And I have found as a practitioner that really translates to my life. That's how I now deal with my friends. That's how I now deal with my family. I'm not going to deal with my family just like as one group or my friends as one group. It's all about that individual. Now, for some people, they may not like every activity. Not every person's going to love yoga or swimming or sports or theater. And so it's also about finding that person's like leisure interests and preferences.
Sean, what about you?
Man, Michelle said it really well. Yeah. For me personally, for my program personally, I have an inability to say no. Yeah, anybody at any point in their life fits with our programming, and we make the program fit to kids because it's an experience that they deserve to have and that we want to give them. So, yeah, every person, possible walk of life is absolutely welcome in our program, and I think most adaptable programs.
Laura?
Well, I actually have another PowerPoint slide about this, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. So pretty much everyone can benefit from some equine assisted activity. Veterans are a big population that are really discovering the benefits of working with horses. People recovering from addiction, trauma, or abuse, people with physical or intellectual disabilities, autism, you can read the list there. And then people dealing with things like depression and anxiety and ADHD. And therapeutic riding is a great method of, they're also doing therapy with horses, some centers. My program, I only work with able-bodied kiddos because I don't have the equipment to work with the kids who use the wheelchairs, but there are centers that are able to accommodate those folks. And there are also activities that you can do if students are not able to actually ride the horse because of physical issues. There are some other things that they can do working from the ground. And so there's pretty much an equine assisted activity for everybody. There's something that you can do with the horses. So it's a pretty exciting field.
Excellent. Okay, so the big question. What have you put into place for COVID-19?
There were a lot of things that we did during COVID-19, so we had to make a lot of changes throughout. So if you look at it kind of in like groupings, first when it was all like just starting in February and March of last year when we were first hearing about it, we just really upped our cleaning. At the time, we didn't really know anything about masks, so we weren't wearing masks at the time, but we were just like cleaning everything. And we were also really making sure those first couple weeks before the shutdown that participants weren't high-fiving, handshakes. And then once we shut down for the couple of months and we were figuring out everything, we started making videos that people could watch at their own pace. So myself, the inclusion supervisor, and the intern were all making videos. We made cooking videos, we made sports videos, exercise, you name it. Our aquatic supervisor outside of the adaptive program, she did a little like aquatic video like in her bathtub, which was really sweet. So, you know, we just try to have a lot of resources during that time. Also, we had social groups where people would log on and we would have Zoom. And then in the summer, we had programs in the summer. We did masks, cleaning, social distance. We utilized things to make sure that social distance was happening. If it was like standing in hula hoops or, you know, you're at this table by yourself. And so really just trying to follow the CDC's recommendations. When the numbers were spiking in winter, we made the decision starting in November and December, we were going to go virtual. So all of the adaptive programs were virtual from December to March, going into April. And we delivered like our cooking packets to the houses and our art packets. And it was really fun. And it was special. We were just trying to make kind of the best out of it. We had an aerobic step class and Katie delivered the big steps to people's houses. So we just tried to make it really easy for people to still participate. And then as the numbers started going down and the CDC's recommendations were that people could start coming back, we started to bring some classes back before others. So cooking class was still virtual last month, as well as some other classes where we just felt like maybe the risks were a little too high. And now we're still making modifications. So our Muscle Up program, which is usually in the fitness center, which is kind of busy, it's not in the fitness center, we're in another room. So we just kind of, you know, like everybody else, we're just kind of making modifications throughout and trying to adhere to what the CDC is saying.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, we've done pretty much what everybody else has done, right? We shut down for our summer session. We did a winter session and we did it outdoors, which was freezing. But we made the decision that if there are athletes that want to do it, then we should offer it. So all of our buddies are in masks. Athletes weren't required to wear masks. All the parents were asked to social distance. And then we did it outside, and I thought, surely we're going to have, you know, if there are 3 kids there, it'll be worth it. And we had 9 throughout our winter session, which was a lot more than I was expecting. And it was a lot and it was cold, but yeah, we provided a service, so we were happy. But yeah, other than that, cleaning our balls, cones, stuff like that. And it's a hands-on program, right? So we continued to have conversations with buddies to be as hands-off as possible, but understand that there is a little bit of risk to it and you're going to have to be hands-on at times, but understanding the boundaries that you're comfortable with, that the athlete and their parents are comfortable with, and making sure that we're respecting that as well.
Excellent. Laura?
Yeah, so my program is very small and I usually only have one family in the barn at a time. So that lends itself really well to COVID precautions. Last summer, everyone wore masks. I wore a mask while teaching. The students wore a mask while they were writing. Parents wore a mask while they were watching. And it was totally fine. It's not a big deal. I'm a registered nurse, so I wear a mask for 8 or 9 hours when I'm working at the hospital. So wearing a mask is no problem. We've also been disinfecting. I put some disinfecting stations around the barn, and we disinfect helmets between uses and hand sanitizer and wipes. And but the biggest part was just making sure my students weren't in the barn at the same time. So it was just one family and me and everybody in masks, and it worked out really well.
Great. Let's see. Do you have a memorable moment while working with a participant?
There's so many. I think that's why we all stay in this field, and that's why that connection is so important. I think so I'm also a drama therapist, and we put on therapeutic theater shows. So my best days of my life are always the therapeutic theater shows. Uh, and this year, ours was virtual, and that was such a sweet moment to see all of that growth, to see all of that confidence, everyone cheering each other on, and always just how people feel after the show, and then the comments from the audience. Generally, it breaks different stigmas about people with disabilities. We find that every single year. We find that for the participants themselves, the people that are watching it, and even one of my favorite moments was when a mom said to me after a show, like, I knew that he was smart, but I did not know his abstract thinking. I just didn't know. And she was crying. And so I think that those moments where we're just breaking and we're learning and we're growing about each other, those are my favorite moments.
Sean?
It's always hard to pick out moments, right? Especially in a program where everything is just slowly progressing, and everything is just slow week to week. You're just trying to make baby steps towards new things. So it's always hard for me to pick out a moment. One of my favorites has to be we gave trophies out. I always try and do something different for awards, so they're not getting the same thing 3 times a year every time. So we did trophies one year, and a kid raised his trophy up over his head and said, "I got a trophy," and it was the first trophy he had ever gotten, and that was a really special moment, just to be able to give a kid a different experience, and an experience that for some kids is really common, and for some kids wouldn't be impactful, but for this kid it was impactful, and it definitely makes you realize that there's something of value there, right? But yeah, that's
Laura?
Yeah, like Sean and Michelle have said, it is so hard to pick out just one moment because I feel like my job as a therapeutic writing instructor is just witnessing moment after moment after moment of excitement and progress with my students. Something that I found really cool, I had a new student that started last weekend, and she really struggles with reading. She reads below her grade level. She struggles to read out loud. She hates it. Getting her to do it at home to practice is just a real struggle, her mom told me. So I had her on the horse, and we were just riding around, and I said, "Hey, let's stop and read a paragraph to the horse." And we talked about how it's okay to be brave and it's okay to make mistakes, because the only person there is the horse, and they don't care if you make a mistake, and they're not going to be judging you. So we talked about, you can always have a break. You can always ask for help. So I prepped her with that, and then I handed her a big long paragraph and said, "Hey, we can just do part of it right now if you want." And she read the whole thing straight through beautifully. And then looked at it when she was done and said, is there any more? And, you know, so we read some more because I wasn't going to say no. So it's just seeing the power that the horses have to empower these kiddos and make them feel confident and make them feel like they can tackle anything. It really makes it worthwhile.
That's awesome. If your program is not in someone's area, I'm assuming she means geographically, how would they go about getting a program like yours in their area?
We have participants from places, not just Carmel. So we have participants from Indianapolis, all over Hamilton County. In the summer, for some individual programs, we'll have people come as far as Columbus. So our program is open to everyone. I just wanted to say that it's not just for Carmel residents. Anyone can participate. And then for starting a program, I would say connecting with someone who has a background of developing the program. So for my kind of program, it's really good to connect with a certified recreational therapy specialist or recreational therapist. And there are some good schools. Indiana State and IU are both schools in Indiana. So connecting with them on names or contacting recreational therapists of Indiana, or like asking me or other people that you know, and we can connect. But so the starting would just be connecting with people so you can have those resources and starting to build. And then when you start to build, just starting with a couple programs and going from there. And I always think like starting with things that you're passionate about. The people that I work with, my staff, I always, whatever they're teaching, whatever they're doing, I want it to bring them joy, because if it's not bringing you joy, it's not going to probably be successful. So starting just with a couple of programs that just bring you a lot of joy.
What about you, Sean?
Michelle?
Oh, wait. Courtney, are you asking a question?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, Michelle. It's Courtney.
Hi, Courtney.
So if someone, so first of all, for people that don't know Michelle, there is like no one in the state that is doing what Michelle is doing at Carmel Parks. Like she is head and shoulders above like everybody else as far as like inclusive and adaptive programming at a public parks department. So there are a lot of people who have parks departments in their own counties, their own hometowns, and they don't have adaptive programming, and they're not very good about being inclusive in their general programming. How can they go to their parks department and try to get an adaptive program or try to get some more inclusive supports?
First of all, thank you. That is so sweet. I'm so thankful for working at Carmel Clay Parks and Recreation. I really have working there and being able to do what we do is just really a dream for me. And then, so that's a really great question. So there's two parts to that question. First, if they're not providing inclusive supports or providing modification for something that is needed, then they are breaking the law. They're breaking the ADA as well as the rehabilitation as well as 504. And so I just like spreaded out a lot of stuff there, but they are breaking the law, and they are a Title II for the Americans with Disabilities Act. So all parks, all public sectors are a Title II. So what that means, if say you have a kiddo who has a disability and they have a summer camp program, and you say, hey, I want my kiddo to participate in summer camp. And then they say, sorry, we don't have a camp for kiddos with disabilities. That is literally like, they can't do that. They have to make modification. They have to support. So the first thing would be is to advocate for yourself, to know the law, and that is that they have to provide supports. Your kid has to be included. So number one, they don't have to have an adaptive camp. They're not required to do that at all, but they are required 100% to have your kiddo be included in any program that they're offering. So they're not required to like offer adaptive camp or an adaptive art or adaptive soccer or adaptive fitness, but they are required to include your kiddo in those programs. And then the second part is to start an adaptive class. So I'm from Seymour, Indiana. So if I was still living in Seymour, Indiana, and I wanted Seymour Parks and Rec, let's say, to offer an adaptive ballet class, then what I would do is I would contact the high school, the special ed program, and I would say, you know what I think would be really great? I think it'd be so great if we did an adaptive ballet program through Parks and Rec. Like how do you see this happening? And then from there, getting the ideas from the educators, talking to Parks and Rec, and so making those connections. And I also have a PowerPoint of when I spoke at Indiana Parks and Recreation Association on both of these things, how to start programs. So Courtney, I'll send that to you. So when this is put on the website, you can also like put that resource up.
Because you are an award winner, is that right, Michelle?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, you'll have to remind me, what's the name of the award you won?
So we won through the National Parks and Recreation Association. We won like for 2016, like the inclusion program of the year. So really just making sure that all kiddos are supported.
Thank you.
Thank you, Courtney. Yeah, if there's any other follow-up questions, please let me know.
Thank you, Courtney. Sean, do you have any advice on how getting a program started like yours would work?
Man, gotta follow Michelle there. It's a rough one. Yeah, so part of my role is also I'm the chairman for Top Soccer for the state of Indiana. So Indiana Youth Soccer helps facilitate starting Top Soccer programs. When I started our program, I was probably the least qualified person in the state of Indiana to do it. But I wanted to just get involved and start something. So we started with 2 athletes. I got a bunch of support help to make myself feel comfortable. And as I started talking about it, people wanted to be involved. So our last pre-COVID session, we had 53 athletes. And it was just from me deciding that I wanted to provide something. Now, 5 years into our program, I'm starting to feel comfortable. And it's been, yeah, just somebody needs to take a step. If you want to start a program, we have the resources to give you. If they reach out to me personally, we have the resources. We want to give people resources. There are also well over 100 clubs, travel soccer clubs in the state of Indiana. And that's how Top Soccer works. We go to soccer clubs and we set up the programming for them so that they can have their travel players, their recreational players involved in this program. That's the goal of Indiana Soccer, is that every club who wants to do it has the ability to do it. So we facilitate all of it. All you need is somebody who is willing to do the administration work, which is nothing. And then somebody who wants to run the sessions, and I'll teach you. There's a coaching course that I can teach you how to run the session. And it's really laid out pretty simply. So if you see a need and you want to start something like this, we can make it happen really quickly, really easily. It's a fairly easy program to get going, and then you can make it what you want to make it. There are programs that are more closely aligned to the Special Olympics model, which is more competitive, more like the sport. And then there are programs like mine that are more adaptive and one-on-one and more relationally based. So it's a real spectrum of options for those families, and really easy to get going.
Laura?
Well, I actually have a screen about this. Surprise, surprise. How to find equine assisted activities in your area. I would start out with the PATH International website. It is the Professional Association for Therapeutic Horsemanship. This is the organization that certifies instructors and ensures that safe procedures are being followed and kind of governs the therapeutic riding industry. So they also have a list of big centers, big therapeutic riding centers on their website. So you can find large ones in your area. Also, I would check with the local advocacy groups like Fuse, groups like that are local are going to know where you can find one. And then maybe a disability services website like the Indiana Disability Resource Finder might be helpful for you because there's a lot of equine assisted programs out there. You just have to find the right one for yourself in your area.
Okay, is there anything else that you would like others to know about your program? Something that maybe came up from listening to each other talk or anything? Michelle, go ahead.
I just wanted to say how fun this was talking with everyone, and Sean and Laura, I appreciate all the work that you guys do. It is always so beautiful to hear other people's work, and it's always so energizing. I also wanted to mention that one of the things that I love about our program is we offer adaptive open swims in the summer. So we know that a lot of families, it can be hard to go to the pool and to our water park when it's really busy. It can be loud, the water features are loud, the concession stand is open, and it's just, it can be a lot. So we offer adaptive open swims. We're having 5 this summer, so we're really excited. They are designed and open for our adaptive families, for any family who has kiddos who have disabilities. And the crowd is very small. You almost feel like you have the whole water park to yourself, which is really nice. And we really just find it's a beautiful time. We really see families relaxing, which is just really nice and beautiful. So that information is on our website under Adaptive Open Swim, and you just have to enroll 1 person per family.
And what is your website again, Michelle?
Our website is carmelclayparks.com.
Thank you. Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, so big thing that I did not mention that I should always mention, my program's free. So it's definitely
It's a big deal.
Good, yeah, good resource. It's free. And then the other thing is, as a part of this, I do PE classes. So I get connected with PE teachers in the schools, and I go in and I run adaptive PE classes probably 6 or 7 times a year. I haven't been able to do it because of COVID, but if you'd like me to come to your school and run PE classes, I've done it in Hamilton, Southeastern schools. I've done it in Carmel schools, Westfield schools. So I would absolutely love to come out and just run a PE class for your students. It exposes them to what I do without you actually having to come out. And yeah, and it's something that is completely underserved for athletes in special needs classes in the school system. So yeah, if you'd like that, tell your
where
PE
do
teacher
people go to get your information, Sean?
Yeah, so our website is indiepremiersc.org, and you'll find me under programs and Top Soccer. All of my information is there.
Excellent. And is that good the same for like your buddies that help the athletes?
So typically, no, typically you just get me when I come out to PE classes, because all of our buddies are in school. So
Right.
Occasionally, Daymar services, I've done field trips for them. I've hosted them at our facility. I've also went to their residential facility and done the same thing that I do. And there I will bring help and buddies because it's typically later in the day. So yeah, if there's a service like that as well, we'll come out and do what we do.
And you get your buddies from the local soccer clubs around, right? That are part of
Yeah,
your.
it's all youth soccer players, typically 13 years and older. But I'm very selective with if there are younger kids that are responsible and I think can handle the program, I'll let them come as well. But it's typically travel soccer players 13 and older in our group. And then I have a ton of other friends and people I've tricked into helping me who are very professional and very qualified.
Okay, excellent. Laura?
Well, just to do a quick recap of my program, this is a small therapeutic horseback riding program with an emphasis on academic skills as well as the horseback riding skills. This is good for summer activity for the kiddos so that they don't forget what they've just spent all the whole school year learning. It's a fun way to keep up on those academic skills, but also maybe work on the ones that they are weak in. I do private lessons. They are one-on-one. I custom make each lesson for my student. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. It's a fun summer activity. It is weather dependent, May through October. And if you have any questions about therapeutic riding or another equine assisted activity, just give me a call and I will help you find a program that works for your loved one or yourself. If it is not my program, I will help you find another one. And you can also visit my website for more information about what I do, or you could send me an email. It's horsepoweredlearning@gmail.com. My website is horsepoweredlearningservices.com.
Excellent. Does any of our attendees have any questions? That I've been watching the chat and haven't seen anybody put anything in the chat room. Does anybody have a question?
I'm going to go ahead and ask a question. So at Fuse, we want to serve even those with the highest support needs. How does our panel feel about being able to serve those that need the most support?
I kind of like what Sean and I were saying earlier with adaptive programs, and our adaptive programs meant for everyone. I think it's kind of the same with this, that you have to really meet the person where they're at, supporting them. And we want everyone to be able to participate in leisure activities and find their preferred leisure activities. So I think it's very, so we don't see people on a scale of, oh, well, maybe this person's going to be too hard. We just see the person for who they are, supporting them, empowering them, and trying to support them and growing in their leisure.
Yeah, so those are the kids I want, actually. There are athletic programs for athletes who are low need, who are able to fit into a program. Actively, I want the kids who don't feel like they fit in those programs. I want those kids who are high need. We're set up to handle it. So we want those kids who need the help, who need a program in a home that fits what they do. So we serve everybody, but those kids, I think, one, are my passion, and two are the kids that fit our program.
Laura?
Well, like I said earlier, my program is specially geared toward able-bodied kiddos who have some learning disabilities and issues that they're having in the classroom. And I'm not able to safely serve kiddos in wheelchairs or with others more severe physical needs, just because the lack of facilities here at my program. But I am, like I said, always happy to help anyone find a program that would fit your needs. There are larger therapeutic riding centers in the area that have bigger facilities that can help people with the wheelchairs and things like that. So if my program is not meeting your needs, let me help you find something else.
Excellent. Any other questions? Okay, just a quick reminder, this session was recorded. So it will be available on the Fuse website. And I think she said something about even the Expo. I'm not going to say anything about that because I don't know. But anyway, it will be on the Fuse website. I'm sure she will also put contact information for each of our panelists. We want to thank you guys so much for coming. This was really, really informative. So excited to check out Carmel Clay's website and see all of the programs that you have. And I love the fact that, Laura, you have such an independent ability to do things. And then who doesn't love to play soccer? I mean, you know, everybody would love to have the opportunity to go out and play soccer. So I just think it's amazing, and really thank each of you for coming. Courtney, you unmuted yourself, so I'm assuming you want to say something. No? Okay. All right. Well, everybody have a great rest of your day. Spread the word. The expo is still going on. I know people are still signing up. So let people know that they can come and join other sessions. We appreciate you attending. Bye.